in a second, just get it going. Connecting to Facebook. We're on. Okay. Now. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, councillors and staff, and welcome to our June meeting. In the spirit of open, accessible and transparent government, and to ensure this meeting is open to the public, this council meeting is being recorded and live streamed to the Murrumbidgee Council Facebook page. A recording will also be placed on council's website following the meeting. Murrumbidgee Council accepts no liability for any defamatory, discriminatory or offensive remarks or gestures that are made during the course of the council meeting. Opinions expressed or statements made by individuals are the opinions or statements of those individuals and do not imply any form of endorsement by Murrumbidgee Council. Confidential meetings of council will not be recorded or webcast. Recordings and webcasts are protected by copyright and owned by Murrumbidgee Council. No part may be copied, recorded, reproduced or transmitted without the prior written consent of the General Manager. Any recording or webcast is not and shall not be taken to be an official record of Murrumbidgee Council meetings or discussion depicted therein. Only the official minutes may be relied upon as an official record of the meeting. I note that everybody is present, therefore we need no apologies to be tendered. I move to the confirmation of the minutes of the ordinary council meeting for the 26th of May 2020 and the extraordinary meeting of the 10th of June 2020. Would somebody like to move that these minutes be to an accurate record? Move Councillor Churgan, second Councillor Black. Those in favour please say aye. Those against? Carried. Thank you. I remind councillors of their pecuniary interest declarations. Do any councillors have any declarations to be put forward before any further meeting? No? I move to the notice of rescission. Oh, sorry, yes, sorry, we do have notice of rescission. Okay. Yes, I did the extraordinary meeting as well as the ordinary meeting. So the notice of motion to rescission motion is to alter or rescind a resolution, the typical wetland land classification, SC 84-SC 94, moved by councillors Curfew, Wells and McRae. Request council rescind the resolution number 107-05-20 as detailed below. Tiddlylick wetland classification, and the resolution was on the motion of councillors Gilbert and Curfew that council proposed to reclassify all of lot 20 DP 845355 from community land to operational land, and the proposed reclassification be placed on public exhibition.
So it's been moved and it's been seconded, so this is no conversation. We'll just put that motion.
Okay, is there, did we have a mover and a seconder?
Yeah, we got there.
Yes, sorry, yes we did. Is there any further discussion around the rescission of this resolution? Councillor Gilbert? Well, you've got your hand up.
I honestly can't see why council's got to fold under pressure all the time for decisions being made. To sort of be told that we're going to drop the rescind motion to basically get to the conclusion and not worry about arguing with anyone about anything else. It's not right. If we make a decision, that's the way it should be and it should get right. I was told that the ball was turned off when it hasn't been. Council doesn't even have a key to this ball. A community member has had the keys to this and always has controlled this board of council water and sewer staff never going near it, which is just absolutely wrong. On council's behalf,
We control the water and sewage in the town, so why does a community member have
key to this bore and keep that pump running. By turning off that bore and making this retention basin, Murrumbidgee, Young Street, Cook Street area, from higher rainfalls, this water can be transferred to the second borrow pit on Hay Road that we've done to help water the golf course. If they want to pick up the frogs and leeches and stuff, relocate them to the borrow pit, they can, by all means. Because the way it is now, it's not being properly maintained. The roadway at Young Street needs to go through this section to allow clear access for the subdivision that we are planning to build. It makes it hard if you've got, in that new subdivision, if you're going to have transportables or anything go through into there, how are you going to get them through? You can't get them down Camden Street unless you alter the end of the street and modify it. You're always going to have trouble taking it down through White Street because it's just not enough room for heavy vehicle and heavy traffic to get down through there. And for the amount of kids that we've got in that area anyway, you don't want heavy vehicles travelling up and down those streets. Tiddling's been neglected for over 20 years now, since it was built. There's been no community input put into it until council decides to change it. In 5 or 10 years' time, when these elderly people want to maintain this canal, who's going to do it? We're going to go back into the route now. What else have I got here? It's never been utilised, this area, for recreation of any kind. I'm certain that none of the councillors that are in this room have ever been there to have a picnic or sit down for beers around this area. And I can't remember ever driving past here and seen any community members actually being in this area also and utilising it the way it is. That's what our parks are to maintain. They're used for that. Tiddling's never been maintained, so it's never been used. There's a petition going around town from a minority of residents who managed somehow to secure 97 signatures. How many of these residents how many residents were signed by children? 977 signatures is around 8% of almost 1,200 people in the town. If council goes with this amount to change the decision made by council, then this by all means is a serious flaw that we've got within council. Decisions such as this one have had reports come back to council and we decide best interest of community and public safety that this was the correct path for us to go down. We've dug 3 holes in the town through doing the subdivision, through doing the levee banks. We've done Murrumbidgee, dug a hole to level the ground out, and then we put water in, called the wetland. We've dug one at the end of Boyd Street. That's basically just a huge mess now. And we don't know what we're going to do with that. They were originally said they were going to use it as a retention basin. It's not going to be used unless they knock down the old levee bank and fill that in. And now we've got the one that we've dug on Hay Road. And that's all in 20 years. So to resolve this issue, we need to transfer further water from Murrumbidgee onto the old Hay Road borrow pit, divert it to the catchment pond, put the water from the catchment pond to the toilet that is released into a creek in the common area, and use all the water that's there and available to service the golf course that we've now, the funding's gone and we've got a sprinkler system in the golf course and we've got no water for it. If we can use all the water that we can within the township, we're going to save a hell of a lot of money for the club and also for the town to supply water to do this. So I honestly don't know why council wants to go back and change it, but if that's how council feels, well, I'm sort of sick and belt my head against the wall about items like this, and it's really a waste of time being on council if you just keep pulling things back and you can't make a decision because one person in the community has a go at you over it. If you want to be a person, you have broad shoulders and you stay in the job that you want to do. Thanks.
Councillor Gilbert, does anybody wish to speak for the rescission motion?
I can speak for the
Councillor Kirky.
The reason for this rescission motion is based on the report that I received early last year when we done an investigation into the lake. Under my impression that the lake was virtually not maintained, overrun with kumbungi and not in any way alive or any kind of use to the community, because I thought it was like a dead thing due to our maintenance. Looking at it over the last few months and doing more investigations, I realised that it is an ecosystem. We've created the ecosystem, and if we've created it, we need to maintain it. So on the basis that there's an ecosystem there, I believe that we should rescind our motion and look at what we need to do with it in a future date.
Thank you, Councillor Kirby. Councillor Gilbert.
And look, originally it was created an ecosystem, it's never been used, but if we can change what we've done and use the third borrow pit that we've dug and use that as a proper ecosystem where it's going to be set up, we're always going to have water in there. We've got no issues with anything within the town if it's maintained well.
Okay. Any further councillors like to speak? Councillor Smith.
I'd just like to say that I did go for a walk around Tiddly the other day, and I've actually sat and had coffee at the gazebo Gazunda at the northern end of that area. I will support Councillor Gilbert's comments. We have had numerous representations in our short time. Back in August of 2018, we asked that more information be brought to Council to support the retention of Tiddling and the proposed maintenance of Tiddling, and nothing has come. It has been brought to Council, it's been raised again and again. We continue to ask that they show us that there is a committee, that they are actively engaged in the wetlands, and that it is a resource that is valued by the community. It's unfortunate that yet once again it has come to this crossroads where we are looking at a rescission motion on a decision that has been made by Council. But I'd just like to say that Council has given the community every opportunity in the last 2.5 years to bring a maintenance program proposal to Council. We have asked, and yeah, I hope whatever comes out of it now is done in a timely manner, that it is sustainable, and it is for the ongoing benefit of the community at Darlington Point.
Okay, I'm asking for further comment because as Councillor Wells, just hang on a sec, because as Councillor Gilbert alluded to, we are not going to revisit this again. This has to be, follow the due process, have all of the information that it needs attached to it, and then we will make a decision for once and for all. Councillor Wells?
It's a council-owned asset, and council over the years have neglected it. It hasn't been maintained. There has never been or very little maintenance done on it. It hasn't had a budget allocation as such. And yes, a few members of the community would like to and love to be involved in it. But by the same token, there was a plan developed for it some years ago, and that plan was basically and was the responsibility of council because it's a council asset. I believe that plan should be picked up and run with by council to bring this back to what it should be as a wetland that is valuable to the town and the community. And council have got to now take control of it.
Councillor Wells, you allude to a plan that was developed. Can you give us any idea of when this was?
It was going back in 2000 when it was first put there. The community had a plan. It was developed by some horticulturals at the time, and I'm sure that's still on the shelf of council. And if not, there was a couple of community members that would have that. The walking track hasn't been maintained. There was a plan there to put some lawn area around the gazebo that's there, and make that end a nice visual effect for people, as well as some additional planting of some native trees there to attract some more bird life, and it was never followed through.
So we are looking at something like up to 20 years ago, Councillor Wells?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Any further comment, please? Councillor Jurglin.
This was brought to my notice by a member of the Darlington Point community, and I did say to her exactly what Councillor Gilbert said. She assured me that she was unaware of that at the time. She's a passionate supporter of the wetlands, and I said, well, you need to, as a community, show us as a council that you do support it and you're prepared to put in time and you're prepared to help maintain it. Council can do so much to help, but you can't do it all. If you want it, it's something you have to take carriage of within your community, involve other members of the community and make these wetlands what you want them to be. And she has assured me, and she has sent through notices of support both from the school and the Men's Shed and other organisations within Darlington Point. Look, if the Darlington Point people are prepared to get involved, do what they can to help Tiddalik wetlands, then I will be a supporter of it. I'm a supporter of any community group that wants to get in and have a go.
Thank you. Any further comment? Councillor Brown.
Yes, I was approached and had the background explained to me, and the reason I support the rescission of the motion is because of the enthusiasm of a group of people up there prepared to do something with it. So that's why I will be supporting the rescission.
Okay. Any further comment? I'd just like to make a few comments. We are bound by the Local Government Act to listen to people who ask for us to listen to them. This is a new petition. It was on our books to have a presentation to council before the COVID lockdown occurred. So that is my reason for supporting the rescission motion, because we should listen to the people. What I do find fascinating is the supporting documentation that is coming forward now has not been presented from the school, from the Men's Shed, from these groups previously. So it's very difficult for council to be in the firing line when we have had no visible evidence of this supporting a group of people to date. Now, I've had various conversations, and they have assured me that the field naturalist reports and other reports were submitted to the Darlington Point office to council, which we had never seen. So what we are bound to do here now is to look at this report, this petition, listen to the petition in its entirety and make an informed decision so that we can get some resolution around this issue. I understand Councillor Gilbert's angst. We seem to be going around in circles and it is not reflecting well on council. However, and also a report brought to council that told us it was going to cost $150,000 to deal with it. It didn't have a lot of detail around it also, which was problematic. What I do find a concern is it's been alluded to that somebody within the community has a key to the bore and they just turn it on when it suits them. It's a council-owned or council-maintained or council responsibility facility. So why does a community member have a key to the bore who can just turn it on and turn it off at whim? That is problematic in my line of thinking. So, you know, I think we need to deal with it and to explore it thoroughly and get the right information and the right people at the table. However, this will, even though it is council owned, it will be the responsibility also of the Darlington Point community for an ongoing level of commitment to contribute to the maintenance and well-being of this area. And as Councillor Gilbert alluded to, and Councillor Smith, we have had many opportunities to speak to drivers of this initiative, few though they were, to bring to the table these people who are going to roll their sleeves up and actively do something. So unless these people can actively roll their sleeves up and work collaboratively with council, it will fail, as it has failed previously. So I think that's why I'm speaking in support of the rescission motion, because I think we need to deal with it as openly and transparently as it should be, and we need to take into consideration the supporting people that have been attached to this document, and we will be able to have the open and transparent conversation. But there are some serious issues that need to be addressed in that process. One is the board should not have a key that just a community member can activate. Also, the costings around dealing with returning it to a natural environment as opposed to having an annual allocation to maintain it as a wetland need to be revisited so that we get the credible information back at the table. Is there any further comment? If not, I'll put the motion. Those in favour of the rescission motion, please raise your hands. Those against? I declare the rescission motion carried. We will, there's no notices of motion. Oh, sorry, that was the notice of motion. I'll move on to the mayoral report. Here it is. We're still operating in a unnatural environment, so it's challenging to be able to get the face-to-face interaction that is required to have the conversations that are more desirable. It has started to rain, which is really invigorating for our part of the world, and considering our key economic driver is agriculture, things are looking promising for the rest of the season. Council continues to assist business and to keep our community as well informed as we can regarding the COVID pandemic and our easing of restrictions and our gradual re-entry to a brave new world. The Murrumbidgee local health district and the state and federal people have kept us well informed. It's very simple messaging, and I commend our community, our local government community, and the Greater Murrumbidgee Local Health District for doing the best they can to keep us safe out here. During June, we've had a budget workshop, an extraordinary council meeting, prioritising infrastructure spend and our associated maintenance on this critical component of council's business is not an exact science, and it requires much deliberation. It's not easy. It's clearly identified we have a large amount of capital grant money to expend. It's an opportunity, and that opportunity brings with it significant challenges. We as council understand that. We have secured a second $1 million for Drought Communities funding extension, and this money will be injected directly into our 3 communities, helping to make our communities vibrant and welcoming, primarily for our own community of people, but for those who wish to visit us, and inject money into our communities. This is being driven by Sam Starr, our Drought Support Officer, but I would also like to acknowledge the huge amount of work, prep work and original conceptual work that Kelly Tyson has invested in this with the assistance of her staff. Our council's initiative to workshop pressing issues before our council monthly meeting, I think it's proven really beneficial. We're fresh. They are issues that actually need to be spoken about. So I think it's a great initiative. The major projects across our council footprint continue to evolve and are having a very positive impact on the community. There's a lot happening, and lots that is happening is of that opportunistic money, so we as council are eternally grateful. Below are a list of meetings and webinars that we've attended over June. Things to date that have been really positive. The public meeting we had regarding Ben Cubbon Avenue, the Ramjo water position paper, which is an amazing document. It's still embargoed, but it will come to the public very soon. It's a huge effort has been put into that, and it operates at a level above self-interest. It is seeking resolution and accessibility and a way forward for this region and its water usage. We've had some business meetings with people that are endeavouring to develop and grow industry in our area. We've had a local LEMC meeting. We've had meetings regarding the $1 million drought money. I attended the Lions Club Collie changeover dinner. And yesterday, the General Manager and I and Councillor Bryce and Councillor Smith spent the day with Justin Clancy, the member for Albury, which the Giraldy Township falls under his guardianship, for discussion around business development. We had the opportunity to speak about RMCC contracts, our digital connectivity, our health, the proposed projects in the Yanko Creek, the long daycare centre, our Crown land issues. And while he was here, he made a $30,000 presentation to the Jewellery Preschool, which the Premier saw fit to deliver to our little local preschool, which was really wonderful. So that is that's my mayoral report. Are there any questions? Somebody like to move? Moved Councillor Curfew, seconded Councillor Bryce. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against, carried. Thank you. We will move on to item 1, please.
Thank you, Councillor McRae. Just a very brief report this week. This month you see a lot of things. The COVID action plan, which was attached, is further changing, and it's like we are going cautiously, taking steps forward as we get information coming through, but then we've only just got to look to 50 kilometres south of the border where things are taking turns in an opposite direction, and we don't know what's going to come out from that. So we've got to be very cognizant of Victoria from where we're sitting, but we also have to listen to our own Premier on how we deal with things moving forward. So the latest plans attached there. Just briefly on the projects, the Roller Place is out to tender. Colleamberley Sports Precinct is coming today, and the Community Hall at Colleamberley, letters went out to stakeholders asking them for some input by the 30th of June, I do believe. And then from that, we'll be able to compile some things and have some more consultation with the community over those things. The oil structure is continuing. Ben Cubbon's another report for today, and then just the list of some of the things that myself, Alan and Anne have been contributing to for the past month or so. And no plans to go anywhere in this short period of time, so no movements to report. Any questions?
Questions, John? If not, somebody like to move? Move Councillor Black, seconded Councillor Brown. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against? Carried. Thank you. Item 2.
Thank you, Councillor. Just reporting on the outcome of the tribunal deliberations for councillors and mayors. Recommendation there is to set the fees at the same rate as we had previously, the maximum amount in the category into which we are listed.
Somebody like to move? Move Councillor Curfew. Councillor Churgwin. Is there any comments around Vicky's report, please? If not, I'll put the recommendation. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against? Carried. Thank you. Item 3.
Yes, we've got someone. Yep, come on.
Yep.
I guess this report is quite self-explanatory. John, did you bring up the resolution in November 2018 regarding the crossovers for Graham Road and...
No, I haven't mentioned that at all.
Oh, okay. Let me just get the exact date. But we had a report November 2018 where Council passed a resolution for crossovers on Gilbert Road and Field Road where property owners will contribute towards culverts and put in for an application, a road opening permit application. I guess that's in relation to this report where we're looking to contribute more than 6 metres. Just think it's a bit contradictory if we do go down that path, but apart from that, I guess I've spoken everything that I have to in regards to this report, and I'll leave the councillors to decide.
Okay, Councillor Black.
Thank you very much. I would like to amend the resolution that's put forward and put forward a new resolution that council contribute 100% of the cost towards like-for-like crossover replacement of existing crossovers. Open table drain treatment will comprise of geofabric top. Further, council will have travelling lanes of 3.3 metres reduced from 3.5 to accommodate wider parking lanes of 3.2 metres, increase from 3 metres. So I'd like to move that.
Somebody like to second that? Councillor Curfew. Is further conversation? Thank you. Further conversation, please. Councillor Cherwin.
At the meeting that we had at the stadium in Collyambling, those councillors that weren't there, there were a number of people that had put in the wider crossovers, and the feedback we got, it was with full knowledge of Murrumbidgee Shire and sometimes with their help. So I feel that they'd already put these in council knowledge and at their own expense, and I don't feel that we can ask them to redo it again at their own expense.
Well, this is what this recommendation that Councillor Blake is speaking to. Yes. Any further comment? If not, Julie, have you? Oh, I meant to read this. Resolved on the motion of Councillor Black and Kirby that council contribute 100% of costs towards like-for-like crossover replacement of existing crossovers. Open table drain treatment will comprise of a geofabric topsoil and seed. Further, council will have travelling lanes at 3.3 metres reduced from 3.5 metres to accommodate wider parking lanes at 3.2 metres increased from 3 metres. Okay, I'll put that motion. Those in favour, please raise your hands. Those against? Okay, I declare that motion carried. Thank you. Okay, we'll move to item 4, please.
Stephen, are you still on?
Yeah, still here. This is a report about the condition of the swings at the Collyambling Youth and Sports Centre. Had discussions with the play group there. They have a nest swing, which is one of the attachments they've purchased, which they'd like to donate to the centre to be installed. And the report's asking that council funds the softball and to determine what sort of softball to go under the swing.
Okay, somebody like to move? Move Councillor Cherwin, seconded Councillor Curfew. I'll open that for discussion. Anybody like to comment, please? Through
the Chair, I'd just like to ask a question of Steve. I noticed in Amanda's letter that that the playgroup has a preference for sand softball rather than the rubber backing that's already there and has deteriorated. Do you see any problem with that?
A lot of the swing itself, there's no softball under that at the moment. The rubber surfacing's under the play equipment. The issue with the rubber surfacing is just the cost to do it. We have sand in under certain other swings around the LGA at the moment, or through the different towns.
Steve, it's a cost of 20,000 roughly for the softball. How much would it cost to replace the sand annually, and what is the length of the life of the softball?
Well, the sand is usually maintained and topped up throughout the year, so there's a certain measurement it's got to reach to have underneath, so it just requires topping up. The rubber softball needs to be tested quite regularly. I'm not 100% sure, I can't remember off the top of my head the life expectancy, but it does require replacement into the future.
Does the sand under the existing equipment have a coverage to preclude cats and other animals using it as a waste receptacle, and to keep out syringes and needles and those sorts of things? Do all of the sand areas have that coverage at the moment?
No, they don't.
Councillor Black.
I'd like to move an amendment to this, and I don't know how to say it, whether it needs an amendment or not. In future, any people who are seeking grants include softball in their grant application.
Do we, how do I do that? I guess the author Steve, this is your recommendation, so would you be happy to include in that recommendation that further applications for playground and child spaces require or include the provision for softball, so that it doesn't become council's imposition, it becomes part of the grant application?
That could be difficult because of the cost of the softball. It makes it difficult for smaller organisations to be able to fund that, and this being on a council property and a council asset, it makes it a bit hard for people at times, organisations at times, to be able to do that.
I do understand that.
I didn't specifically say in the grant writing.
Yeah, with grant-funded applications, Steve, not just people trying to.
If it was an actual grant application, yes, you could include it. Yeah, if it was a government grant or something like that.
Okay.
But I wouldn't take it to this report. I think that would be a separate resolution. Vicky, did we put $50,000 in the budget for softball?
We did put 50,000 there, subject to grant funding being available.
Subject to grant funding. Right.
Councillor Wells.
Yeah, I believe that resolution Councillor Black is talking on, that should be a separate resolution. I don't believe it should be included in this. Totally different.
Okay, all right.
I did ask that.
Yes, okay. Councillor Smith.
This is not directly with regards to the swing, but as part of this process, how often is the risk audit undertaken of all of council's assets, and has the swing and the softball and that gotten under the radar, so to say?
Yes, we've just been improving on our inspection regime. We're now conducting audits and inspections of our playground equipment in all the towns. So there'll now be an ongoing process have done.
So our asset register is updated annually at least?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
So when was it last updated, please?
the asset register get updated at the end of the financial year with additions and things like that with when capital expenditures completed on those projects.
Thank you. And can I add condition ratings also? So that's an annual process for fixed asset registers to be updated.
And I would have thought, sorry, to speak over you, that register should have come to the budget review. Sorry.
The individual items aren't there, and certainly they're presented within the financial statements at the end of the year in each function
That the assessments have been undertaken.
And that's part of the old special schedule 7 with the condition ratings.
Okay, Vicky, when you speak, please come to the table so we can have clarity on the recording. Thank you. Councillor Bryce.
The other part of this playground has softball under it, which is stated needs renewing. Would it be possible to temporarily have the new swing in a sand area and have this as a priority for the next fund to grant fund to do the whole area for the softball?
Did you hear that, Steve?
Yeah, was that to put sand there temporarily till softball funding can be obtained at a later date? Yeah, that's something that can be done. There'll be other areas of other playgrounds that will require softball repairs and replacement, so that can be done at the same time.
Okay, so I'm getting the distinct impression that the installation of the swing is being given the go-ahead, and what we will do is we will install it with sand under it at this time, but in the future we will look at replacing the softball under the swing and under the existing play equipment. Is that it? Okay, so just getting this correct so we can, and then we will deal with the second recommendation of Councillor Grace. Bear with us, Steve. We're just getting this down as accurately as we can. Oh, the first one needs to be
Sand or rubber softball.
It should read that resolved on the motion of Councillors Churchman and Curfew that the Colliambley Playgroups offer to donate one S9900 nest swing for installation at the Colliambley Youth and Sports Centre be accepted. The swing installation and softball, the swing installation and sand to be funded by council. Sandfall as opposed to softball be funded by council.
It's softball.
Sand softball.
Sand.
It's called sand. It's not a softball. Yeah. Sand to be utilised. Okay. Somebody, we've moved in that. Those in favour of that recommendation, please say aye.
Loose fill, soft fill. Loose fill, soft fill.
Just sand, because then it's just...
Okay.
Okay, those in favour, please say aye. Those against? Carried, thank you. Now, the second motion, proposed by Councillor Black and seconded by Councillor Brown, that future community grant applications for playground equipment that requires softball beneath the structure include the provision of rubber softball within the grant prior to council accepting the asset. Okay? I'll put that recommendation. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against, carried. Now, we still haven't dealt with the issue that Councillor Bryce raised, that in the interim, at the Coleambally Playgroup, that, we said sand will be installed. How do we include the fact that in the future softball will be?
You did that last motion.
You did that last motion, if anything comes forward.
From here on in, we're using...
Yeah, but that's grant money, so yeah, sorry, okay.
That rather than council bear the cost of the softball.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, sorry.
Community grant application.
We'll include the, yeah. So everybody's happy with how we've dealt with that? Councillor Smith.
We discussed refurbishing the softball under pre-existing.
It'll come in under grant. That's where I got confused.
Well, Steve, we've given Steve instruction to go around and ensure that any softball that needs to be topped up or replaced is done so by sand. Is that not what I...
No, that's not how it's interpreted. No. Okay, we'll move on to item 5, please. These are the minutes of the Murrumbidgee Tidy Towns Committee. Councillor Bryce, would you like to walk us through these, please?
This is a meeting from March, which just snuck in with the closed. Most of what we discussed actually didn't happen, unfortunately. The show and shine was one of the things that were just wiped off the map, and hopefully there's a bigger and better one in 2021. I do have a couple of questions about the 355 committees, when they will be able to meet again, and that will also, we did ask about rescheduling and general meeting, which Tidy Towns is usually in August, as the circumstances are at the moment. If that could be postponed to October, I think that would be accepted.
Yep, and I've got word back from the Office of Government that yes, we can set the timeframes on that, so that is fine. That's happened in October, under the 355.
Okay, are there any questions of Councillor Bryce regarding these minutes? If not, somebody like to move? Move Councillor Bryce, seconded Councillor Churgman. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against, carried. Thank you. Item number 6, please.
Just tongue in cheek, I didn't attend this meeting apparently. Sorry, Councillor Smith. We will advise them of our name, being Murrumbidgee Council, for everybody else that was there. I reported on this as part of my DM report last meeting. Unless there's anything that's actually cropped out of the minutes that I may have not covered, I'll take questions.
Councillor Smith.
In the item 6 of the report,
yep.
It refers to the ongoing potential of councils now to actually councils are encouraged to put their bids for projects forward. Is there any potential for us with these with the heavy vehicle projects, and that for us to get any work out of it?
And yeah, we're at the same places as everybody else. The way that they've set up, particularly these parking lanes, they've had job fairs or business fairs beforehand, and told the community who are wanting to put in or anything else like that. We've got a little bit of work out of the stuff to the south of us through one of the quarries, using our trucks and things like that. We probably not saying this right. We don't have the accreditation to be able to go do the whole lot or anything else ourselves at this point in time, but we can certainly be subbies to some of the things and where those opportunities arise. And that's what the whole thing was, that we put our name down those that get the job can come and ask if we've got the ability to do something, and that's what has virtually happened, mate.
Okay.
Yep.
Further questions? Not somebody like to move? Move Councillor Black, seconded Councillor Kirby. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against, carried. Thank you. Item number 7.
Darwin Association, I'm just seeing, I don't think any of us was at that, was it?
Information only, wouldn't it be?
Yeah.
Was for information only.
Just one question, please. Under the attendance, there's a crier Brian from Murrumbidgee West Council, Region 8. Now, how do they qualify to be on there? They're nowhere near the river. Murrumbidgee.
No, it's Baronga. It's,
Oh, that's a bad spelling.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's Murrumbidgee Westers.
You only have to note this.
Kadena.
We will note this for information. I will just add that the annual general meeting of Region 9 is in Leeton on Friday, and I will be attending that meeting. Okay. Item number 8, please.
Council, I provide the monthly cash and investment report. I will take any questions. Can't say any more than, sorry, we can see that the investment rate is very steadily declining, unfortunately.
Okay, somebody like to move Councillor Brown, seconded Councillor Black. Are there any questions, please, regarding this? Vicky's already identified that the interest is dwindling. Given the state of the economy is no surprise to any of us. Okay, there are no questions. Somebody like to move recommendation, please? Move. Oh, sorry. I'll put the recommendation. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against? Item number 9, please.
Vicky.
Council, is just a précis of my activities during the month of May.
Startling there, Vicky, and to bring to our attention.
No, Stronger Country Community Fund's grants projects are on the go. We've now received 3 of the 7 deeds for some. We'll say that the ones that we've got first are the ones that we intend to do later in the process, but never mind, that's the way it goes. We have received the one for the splash park, Fountain Point, received the one for the youth project, which is the 2-year project, and we had actually requested for that. We actually extended that the original plan to make 2020 and 2021 the 2 years, so we put that out to 2022, and I've just received today the funding actually Colliamby Sports Precinct. We've got that deed, and I've received Park. And that's one of the ones that they hope to proceed. Well, there's nothing happening at the football ground. Yes, they're coming a little bit by the.
Okay, any further? Councillor Smith.
When do you expect the advertising for the expressions of interest, the internal audit to occur?
That's currently out on exhibition for expressions of interest, and I think that closes on the 9th.
Your Civica training and updating, how's that going?
Well, that was 4 days over, so it's updates and operational.
For all staff?
No, not for all staff, but for specific users. So we've undertaken some administration training, which Sue and myself have done, and administration and role hierarchy. So that's the background workings of the system. We've done accounts payable, so the accounts payable staff have been there. We've done a bit of an update on the rates. So specific areas of expertise. We've still got in the future some payroll to be undertaken, and there's further training happening in September for what we call CM9, so Content Manager, which is our document management system integrating with Authority, substantially the financial system. So they're going to start some more integration there, whereby automatically the likes of perhaps our 603 certificates that we generate out of the rating system will automatically be transferred into the document management system. Currently, 603 certificates copied in and then scanned into Content Manager. But once we get the integration happening, that will happen automatically. That's a couple of weeks training and work to set that up. So that's set for September.
We also, there's a female sports participation grant. I was just wondering what that involved or what.
Like a lot of our grants, they tell us how much money we can apply for, and that was from Justin Clancy's. That was an election promise. So we've put together the grant application for the construction of studio, I guess, at the gym, so that we have specific classes which substantially are female participant classes, so that they could have do their classes and not be interrupted by people using gym equipment and things like that. We'll also be able to utilise the group as a, so I guess we called it a studio. But yeah, but we still had to, although they've designated us an amount of money, we still had to put forward the application and go through that process.
Councillor Bryce?
We're having permission to extend the time that annual general meeting 3.5 committees. The compliance that are having sorted, does that automatically extend past the 12 months, or do they need to be audited?
Which you would still have a 12-month period. You would still have your financial year, so you would just report on that as per normal. Just when you actually report it.
No.
Okay, are there any further questions of Vicky? If not, have we resolved that? No. I'll put the recommendation. Oh no, would somebody like to move Councillor Smith? Seconded Councillor Curti. I'll put the recommendation. Those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against? Carried. Thank you. Item number 10, please, Clay.
So, could I just stop in? Joanne said he could run away. Is there any specific questions of Joe before he goes? But he didn't get a report for.
Oh, okay.
That's the individual report. We'll take care of the other one. Is that nothing?
No,
okay.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Joanne. Okay. Sorry.
Sorry, Joanne.
Thank you. This report is really for the information of the council. I'm happy to take any questions you have them. There is one error, or it's regarding the kangaroo cull. Unless council decides otherwise, I feel that at this point we don't need to go to phase 2 with the kangaroo cull, given the fact that at the last cull we took out 15 very large bucks, and so I feel that at this point it's probably a good idea simply to monitor the situation and maybe revisit it next year.
What's the feeling of the council group here? I think I agree. Guidance on that, Kelly. So,
being a neighbour to the town, the forest to the north of Colliambly, there's a large number of kangaroos in that, big kangaroos in that, to the north of Colliambly.
Right.
Which is, it's around the sewage depot.
Yeah.
But I'm quite happy with what you said.
Okay, I'll take note of it.
anything else, Kelly, you need to draw our attention to?
No, I don't think so.
Can I just ask a question, please?
Yes, Councillor Sherwood.
I just wanted to ask Kelly, the Ramsdale waste meeting, how's that going with what we're planning for waste? They made any progress on?
Okay, so my involvement was to deputise for Will. He wasn't available to go to that particular meeting, so it was a good opportunity to see generally across the region what people are doing with waste. And a number of organisations are a little bit more progressed than we are, but it seems like there's a lot of support for the council and potential, certainly grant opportunities to help us get to where we want to go into the future. So unless, Will, have you got anything further to say about that?
You just said this week we're getting surveys done of each of our landfills to give us some more information on what's there.
Can I just make a comment, please, Will?
Speak up.
I noticed, I walk regularly in behind the motel, and the number of green waste dumping are really increasing in there. I don't know what we can do about it, but it's a worry, I think.
Any ideas, Will?
Okay.
Yeah, there are programs at the moment to monitor that sort of stuff and to actually record it. It's called a legal dumping program, and it's through that mechanism that, you know, we identify particular hotspot areas to help council develop a strategy moving forward about how to manage that.
So would you like me to take my camera with me in the morning and record the date and take a photo of it and just send it to you?
No, you don't catch a person then.
No.
No, but at least it gives you an idea of how quickly it's increasing.
Yeah, if council have particular concerns about areas like that, the operational staff, and I'm sure will corroborate this, can actually pick it up and deposit it in our landfill and get it mulched. We're doing that at the moment, or we've just gone through a program, mulching green waste?
We're currently in the process of mulching up the green waste at each landfill.
Okay. Then Councillor Curfew.
A couple of things on the report. Number one, thank you, Kelly. You have had a win when it comes to the bike noise and the issue that we have in our town of Darling Point. I think that's been, so far it's been successful. So thank you for following procedures and keeping on top of that. We're having good results, so I appreciate the large effort that you put in. And secondly, can you enlighten me a little bit on the contamination assessment?
Okay, yeah. Council's got an obligation to record contaminated sites on our planning certificates. So our planning certificates are those certificates that are obtained by people if they're looking to acquire land. And there are statutory questions that are asked on those certificates, and council's obliged to respond to those questions. So one of them deals with contaminated land, and it's an interesting case because with contaminated land, council retains liability. If we don't make decisions in accordance with the Contaminated Land Management Act, the planning guidelines and the Environmental Planning Assessment Act. So we've got a great deal of liability with respect to contaminated lands. So our process is to actually identify the areas within the council area that we suspect is contaminated or there is a strong likelihood of being contaminated. So given that we haven't got that information in council data bank at this point in time, we are seeking to do that. We're intending to do it through a process. The first part of that process is looking through Google Earth imagery to see if there's any physical evidence of contaminating activities, simply through desktop review. The next phase in that process is to actually do drive-bys along the various villages and through the council areas to identify if there's any contaminating land uses that exist at the moment, or if there's any sites that might be affected by any contaminating land uses. You might ask, what is a contaminating land use? There is a managing contaminated land planning guideline. In that guideline there is a table. There's probably about 15 land uses that are identified and known to be contaminating land uses. So if we're aware that land is being sold and future planning certificate is required, and we're aware that any of those land uses nominated in that table have occurred on that site, whether it's there now or whether it's occurred, over time, then we will identify the land as potentially being contaminated, unless we know that the land has been remediated. So, and the next part of that obviously is talking to people within the community to see whether or not they're aware of any potentially contaminating land uses in the past.
Thank you.
Councillor Churban.
Just one more thing, Kelly. The Toggamain subdivision, is that still going ahead or that's stalled?
No, it's going ahead. There are issues because of the survey boundaries. The boundaries that's proposed in the subdivision aren't really in the best location, given the fact that you actually need the building to be 3 metres away from a side boundary if it's used for something like a museum, a Class 9 building. So given that that's the likely future use, we've asked them to adjust it, and we've had that discussion with them.
Thank you.
That just goes back and forth.
Well, no, we can't do anything at this point. We're waiting for the surveyor to adjust the survey plan, and that's something that we wouldn't chase up.
Yep, very good.
Okay. Somebody would like to move Kelly's report. Moved Councillor Curfew, seconded Councillor Smith. But the resolution states that the information contained in the Manager Planning and Environment Monthly Report be noted. I'll put the recommendation. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against? Great. Thank you. Item 11, please.
Sure.
This is just a report on my area for the past month, including the libraries and the drought support officer. Are there any questions regarding the report?
Are there any questions of Sue, please, regarding this report? Councillor Smith.
The first round of funding for our drought officer is now complete. Is that what I understand?
There is an extension that's been applied for that, and that until the end of October for the first round, and then the next round will start obviously after July. So her employment's been extended to the end of December.
Okay. Are there any further questions of Sue, please? If not, somebody like to put the recommendation, please. Moved Councillor Bryce, seconded Councillor Smith. Those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Those against? Carried. Thank you. We have Kelly Desenia on the phone almost.
Any report, Kelly?
Camera, mate.
Item 12. No, John Speaker. 2 seconds.
Listen, Kelly. Okay, Kelly.
Kelly, go. Item 12. Anything to highlight?
Nothing, just currently working on the Murrumbidgee business feature, the full-page lift out. Social media has been really well received across different platforms as well this month, and I think also just working to get all of the parties together for the Chamber of Commerce to get that up and rolling next month.
So where are we at with that, Kelly? What's actually happening in that space?
So hopefully for the next council meeting, we'll be able to have representatives from the New South Wales business, so the New South Wales Business Chamber come and present or do part of the workshop with us, also with Collie Amberley Chamber, just to have their thoughts on in terms of structure and working together, and perhaps even sort of to throw some ideas around joint initiatives, and just also in terms of like how the budget of the executive officer would look, how that would sort of pan out, or what ideas the different groups would have in terms of that working for them. So aiming for next month to have that as both a business paper and to do a bit of a workshop with councillors for involvement in there to then start the ball from that point.
Okay. Are there any questions of Kelly, please, from the floor? Councillor Smith.
The information from ID profile would suggest that our area hasn't been significantly impacted by unemployment due to the COVID.
Is that a correct interpretation, Kelly? How would we interpret the figures?
No, it wouldn't be significantly, and that's just more when I've seen a comparison to other LGAs across New South Wales. It's certainly being impacted, but the professional in terms of both the hospitality and accommodation sectors have been impacted by it. But when you look at certainly from a state perspective and a national perspective, the harder hitting areas where LGAs rely on international tourism, they have seen significant impacts to their LGA. Ours being more of a agricultural based economy, the drought has really impacted us more in terms of an economic impact. But it was certainly interesting to see their stats in terms of the number of people that have been impacted from our LGA through coronavirus.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions of Kelly or comments? If not, thank you, Kelly, and thank you, John.
Thanks,
for your
Kelly.
comments. Okay. Have we moved, and somebody like to move Kelly's report, please? Move Councillor Bryce, seconding Councillor Smith. I'll put the recommendation. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against, carry. Thank you. Item number 13, Steve.
Yeah, it's just a report of what I've been working on since the last council meeting. If there's any questions.
I'll put this to the floor. Are there any questions of Steve? Councillor Bryce.
Just what the Darlington Point Hall, what has it thrown up in our face?
Did you hear that, Steve?
So is it in regards to the Darlington Point Hall?
Yes. What's the state of the nation at the Darlington Point Hall?
Yeah, we're still doing further investigation works into some issues that are there. We're just obtaining some engineering advice on how we're going to proceed into the future.
Okay. Do we have any sort of timeline on that, Steve?
No, not at the moment.
Okay. Any further questions? Councillor Churwin.
Just back on the Darlington Point Hall, What issues are of the most concern?
Steve, do you want Kelly?
Yeah, Kelly.
Kelly will cover.
So the issue with the Darlington Point Hall, as you know, that there are structural issues. So we're needing a little bit more information to direct us in which way to move forward. We know there are structural issues. We know that there will be a range of options that council can do in respect to those, but for us to make a decision about that, we need to know how workable those things are, what the costs are, and what's the best measure to take, because it is, even though it's not heritage listed, it has significant heritage values, and so as far as possible we'd like to maintain the form and fabric of the museum as it exists now. So we're waiting for that information. We have received quotes to move forward with that, and we're expecting that to be, the person to be engaged this week, and I'd expect something to come back in about 2 weeks.
Thank you. Are there any further questions? If not, somebody like to move the recommendation, please. Move Councillor Turpin, seconded Councillor Curfew. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against, carried. Thank you. Item 14, please. Will.
Yeah, this is a summary of the what I've been working on this month. If anyone's got any questions, please let me know.
Will, can you do some expansion first off on Young Street? What's
Young Street
subdivision?
We've engaged surveyor to conduct an updated survey of that subject allotment to include the recently constructed levee bank, which runs around 2 sides of it. Also, we've spoken to consulting engineer to amend the plans based on the footprint of the levee bank. We have engaged McMahon Earth Science to conduct a soil classification or site classification report. I've been working with the NBN to work on what's possible for internet connection for the new subdivision.
Thank you. And then the next question is the boat ramp. And
yeah, the boat ramp, we've just had a variation for some of the, been discussing the contractor, a variation they submitted for changing site conditions for the discrepancies on the design levels and levels on site. We sorted that out yesterday, but they're continuing the access road down the boat ramp, and with those levels now sorted out, they'll be getting their sheet piling contractor back on site. The works will still be continued while we sort that issue out.
Thank you.
That's okay. Are there any further? Councillor Brown.
Yeah, the waste study, Will, where are we up to there? Like, we're looking at our own local pits, but remember in the last 12 months we've been looking long range at, regional waste disposal. Where are we up to?
Currently we're doing a survey of our own landfills, and I think once we get that data, then we can look at what we can look at outside of our area. But we haven't. I haven't discussed that with the waste group until I get the information on our own landfills to move forward from there.
So the green waste dump, that's just on hold.
Well, with the surveys are doing drone surveys of our current landfills, we can identify how much green waste we have. We can go from there for a green waste location in Coleambally.
With regard to the Darlington Point footy ground change rooms, I had a look there last week. Are the contractors finished, or is that job finished?
Yeah, contractors, I believe, they're finished on site, and we did a little bit of landscaping work around the building to finish it off for them.
Ben will be here at 2:30 and close business. He'll be able to. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Smith.
I'm just wondering about the Waddy truck parking area.
what's actually been undertaken there? And is it complete?
I met with the owner, Chris, at the Wadeye truck park, at the on-site. He expressed his concerns about trucks getting bogged. Now that I had a chat with him, worked out what was going on. We've started works there. Obviously, it rained over the weekend, so once it dries out, we're going to go finish. We have, where there was large areas where trucks get bogged, we've flattened out that piece of land next to the truck stop. We've shaped the land so it now drains, and we've put down, we're in the process now of putting down the crushed concrete as a hard stand surface, so vehicles are able to manoeuvre there and turn around without getting stuck.
Could one of the northern councillors tell me, is that area that was originally meant to be the truck parking area, or is it a little bit further to the east of that corner area?
Well, if it's the service station land, we shouldn't be touching it.
No, right where the concrete actually ends.
If it is our land, why are we remediating it? Why are we remediating it? Because it's not part of the truck parking area.
No. It's a
So
road
why are we
reserve,
remediating
that
something
area.
that we have?
It's a road reserve.
It's a road reserve, but it's not a truck parking area. It's not his land. Trucks shouldn't be parking there in the first place.
But they're allowed to if it's a road reserve.
Will, can you answer that?
The area is a road reserve, so vehicles can park there.
And council has carriage of its maintenance? Yes. Yep. And the holes were big enough to bury a horse?
Yeah, and we've had, we often get calls when it rains, the trucks getting stuck, asking for us to help pull them out. So it's been an ongoing problem for a while.
Thank you, Will. Councillor Wells?
Parks and Gardens, at the CWA park where the climbing equipment is for the kids, the rubberised softball under that, the kids probably shouldn't be using that at the present time. What's in progress there?
That softball's going to be replaced. So I'll have to see where that one's up to. Don't have an answer for you, sorry.
So, Vicky, is that $50,000 allocation, that is totally grant dependent, is it? So we have no allocation for replacement of our infrastructure?
At this stage, that's not subject to grant.
So Councillor Wells, are you intimating that that should be roped off if it's not safe?
Well, I think it's got to be a priority on behalf of our children.
Yeah.
So, Stephen, can we do an assessment of that, or have that assessed, please?
Yeah, we've done some inspections on it, but we've included that one as well.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
So could we please have something back to us at the next meeting, please, Steve, just so that we can get some progress on it, because being identified by council as an area of concern, we probably need to make that as quick as possible. Not that I'm telling you how to do your job, but that's, please, if you could bring that back to the next meeting, that would be good.
And if we need money to fix it back to the next meeting, we'll come back and we'll ask for money at the next meeting. If we don't, we'll just come back and tell you that it's been done.
Yep, thank you. Councillor Curfew.
Question, Young Street subdivision, drainage point off the new subdivision. Do you have an idea where that's going to drain to?
Well, that'll be determined once the survey is complete and the consulting engineer revises their drawings. So, don't have the information yet.
Will that be presented at next council meeting?
If the survey is complete and if the work by the consultant's been completed by then it probably will, yes.
Okay, point 2, the Darling Point Cemetery, stage 2 is coming along really well. Just remind me, was there 2 rose gardens to be put in? One where the existing cemetery is, and the second one where the new part of the cemetery is? Or was there only plans for the one new one?
Just the one. The other one, putting one on the other side would disturb too much of what's already there in terms of trees and where the rows finish.
Right, fair enough. No worries, thank you.
Thank you, Will. Any further questions of Will? Somebody like to move? Move Councillor Brown, seconded Councillor Wells. That the information contained in the Operation Manager's Maintenance Monthly Report be noted. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against, carried. Thank you. Development applications, item number 15. Kelly?
Kelly Norwood, for noting.
Okay. Somebody like to move? Move Councillor Curthy, seconded Councillor Smith. Are there any questions of Kelly? If not, I'll put the recommendation. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against, carried. Thank you. Item 16, please, biosecurity.
Stephen.
Yeah, it's just a report on what the biosecurity officers have been working on in the since the last council meeting. Any questions?
Councillor Smith.
I was just wondering what that bird was that was in.
Steve, there's a burr in the grassed area surrounding the walking track at Tiddlylick, and we just wondered whether that has an annual spraying regime or it's just had an opportunistic growth spurt.
I'd have to find out what bird you're referring to. It could be just an opportunistic.
It's pretty spiny.
It's prickly.
I actually took a photo, forwarded it through to the GM and asked him to.
We have a photo, Steve, that will be forwarded to you, okay?
Yep, no worries.
Thank you very much. Any further questions of Steve? Councillor Brown.
Yeah, Steve, just with regard to the African boxthorn, do we get any money? There's state government money there, is that right?
For African boxthorn?
Yes.
No, we haven't. I don't think we haven't obtained any external funding than what we already have for our normal budgets.
Thank you.
Vicky.
I was just going to comment on that, Councillor Brown. The previous financial year, we had a $40,000 grant from local land services for people that were particularly along the Yanko Creek, and that was one of the major stations that was to be looked at. So from time to time, as things come up, we take the opportunity to look at those grant fundings. Continue those work.
Okay. Somebody like to move this report? Move Councillor Brown. Smith. I'll put the recommendation. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against, carried. Thank you. Item number 17. William, please.
This is a summary of the works completed in the previous month. If there's any questions, please let me know.
I've just got a comment, Will. I'd just like to pass on the thanks of the people who live on and the users of Greens Road.
Yep.
It's great to have that work done. So thank you very much.
Pass that on to staff. Thank you.
We also got thanks from Party Road as well.
Yes. And also thanks from Pike Lane.
And just for future information, Will, Parties Road users want it sealed, but I said small steps. So, but it was nice to receive recognition for it being attended to. Any further comments or questions of Will regarding this works in progress report? Right, I'll put the recommendation. Those, somebody like to move the recommendation? Move Councillor Kirby, second Councillor Bryce. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against, carried. Thank you.
Confidential items.
Okay, somebody like to move that we, yes? Councillor Black. Oh, you're moving. Oh, okay. Somebody like to move that we move out of council regular into confidential. Move Councillor Black, seconded Councillor Brown. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against, carried. Thank you.
Just mention any staff that don't want to hang around for confidential. If you don't have anything, you don't have to if you don't desire to. But you're more than welcome. The recording will be turned on.
sort things out. Every town sorts their own problems out. Okay. Look, for previous motion,
Would somebody like to move that we move back into ordinary council, please? Move councillor Churgwin, seconded councillor Smith. Those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Those against? Carried. Thank you. We'll move to tender 14-2020, the Colliambley Sports Precinct redevelopment, SC 303. Resolved on the motion of councillors Black and Curfew that the Kennedy Builders Proprietary Limited be awarded the tender for the Colliambley Sports Precinct redevelopment projects, detailed as A, B and C within the tabled report at a cost of $1,889,646 GST inclusive, in accordance with the clause 178 bracketed 1 and bracketed A of the Local Government General Regulation 2005. That was carried.
John, is it necessary to put the price in that?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it's going to be published.
A notice of intent to issue orders, SC 168. Resolved on the motion of councillors Curfew and Gilbert that council liaise with the owners for power of entry to inspect property as detailed within the tabled report. After the property inspection, council issue a notice of intent to issue orders to stop use, demolish and evacuate unless the inspection confirms that an immediate evacuation is necessary, whereby an immediate order will be made. Carried. The sale of council land, Showground Road, Jerilderie. Resolved on the motion of councillors Bryce and Smith that the applicants be advised council will agree to the sale of lot 126 DP 700745 for $40,000. Property to be rehabilitated as part of any subdivision approval. All associated costs to be borne by the applicants and at no cost to council. Carried. That concludes the June ordinary meeting of council. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much.